Every time I sit down for a video like this, I feel like I'm about to come out again. Bonjour everyone, my name is Noah and welcome back to my channel. Since I've been off YouTube for a little while and I know all of you guys don't follow me on my other social media platforms, which by the way, if you want to change that, it's just Noah Tayeb on every platform, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. I thought it would be a good idea to come back with a bit of a life update / Q&A video. I haven't done one of those in a really long time and I thought it would be a good idea to rewatch some of my old ones, but I didn't make it past the first 30 seconds because I just was acting very different back then, and I don't know if I was being inauthentic and just trying to put on a certain persona online or if I just changed since then, but it's just very difficult to watch. Maybe I can make a video reacting to my old videos and tell you guys what was real and what I was hiding. Anyway, I asked you guys on Instagram to ask me some questions about my life and some updates and things that have changed, and I'm gonna go through them and answer them with you right now. Let's get into it. Every time I ask for questions on Instagram, I get a bunch of the same one. So when I said I was gonna do a Q&A, I asked one thing. I said, please just don't ask me if I'm a top or a bottom. I'm gonna let you guess how many thought it would be funny to ask. Multiple times. It was a lot. What is your ethnicity? And a variation of that was, where were you born? Where are you from? Where's your family from? To give you the rundown, I was born and raised in Paris, France. Je suis français, je viens de Paris. But my family heritage is from North Africa. Half of my family is from Algeria and the other half is from Tunisia. Are you single? I am very much single at the moment. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, I'm single, ready to mingle, actually. What is your gym routine? I would say my gym routine has gotten pretty eclectic lately. I used to focus on really one type of workout at a time. I would do like weightlifting 5 times a week, but now I feel like I kind of managed to get into a balance. So my routine kind of varies depending on the day, but most days it's weightlifting. I go to the gym for about an hour and a half, but I also do a lot of yoga, hiking, and walks. I love group classes. I still love climber. I don't really like cardio, but I know I'm trying to get back into it because it's important. And when it comes to weightlifting, I'm someone who kind of needs guidance, and I don't know if I like working out with a friend, but I also can't afford a personal trainer every single day. So I found this app that I really love. It's called FitBod, and this is not sponsored by the way, but I've been using it for like a year and a half now, and I really love it. How it works is basically at the beginning of your workout, you're gonna pick which muscles you want to focus on today. It also helps keep track across days how recovered your muscles are. So if you did chest 2 days ago, it's gonna tell you, oh, you're only 70% recovered on chest, so maybe you should focus on back. And then it offers a workout with all these exercises. Each exercise has a video demonstrating how you do the exercise, and depending on your level and your history, because it tracks, if you use it daily, it's gonna track and like get better and better. It suggests weights and a number of reps and a number of sets that you should do, and then you can just keep track on the app, so you don't need to write down your weights to make sure that you're not plateauing on your weights. I don't know, it's a little geeky, and like, who usually make fun of me for using it, but it's made working out so much easier. I'll put a link in the description down below if you guys want to try it, but especially if you're new to working out, I feel like that's the best way to start, because it kind of takes away the shame of not knowing what you're doing at the gym, and it makes you feel like you're kind of completing something, and it's almost like a game, so I love it. What do you do for work? This. I'm fortunate enough that at the moment, content creation is my full-time job. I used to work in corporate. I was in management consulting and financial services. And then 2-3 years ago now, I quit my job to focus on content creation full-time. That means creating content on platforms, working with brands to share products and services on my own platforms, or to create content for their marketing assets, having product collaborations with brands. And I also last year launched my own swimwear and lifestyle brand called Sunny Days. That's been my baby for the last couple of years that I've been working on, and I'm now working on growing. Yeah, that is my job. What phone and or camera do you use? I film most of my content for pretty much all my social media platforms on my iPhone. It's an iPhone 15 Pro Max. And then my YouTube videos are filmed on a digital camera. It's a Sony, I can't see it right now, RX100 V2. Do you not like extra crispy bacon? No. I feel like crispy bacon just tastes burnt. Every time I post my bacon on Instagram, people start DMing me. I like it chewy. I feel like the taste is better. Why'd you stop wearing the color contact lenses? If you've been around for more than 5 years, that's scary. You remember that at the time on all my content, I used to wear these really bright green colored lenses. And that came from a very silly insecurity of mine. At the time, I was in the closet and I was secretly dating a boy who had really, really bright green blue eyes. And of course, I was comparing myself to him and to all the comments and compliments he was getting at the time. And that made me insecure about my eye color, which now I think is so silly because I love my eye color and I'm so proud of it. And so I used to wear contacts all the time. And then one day I realized that it wasn't good for me to be wearing contacts every day when I don't have any eyesight problems. I think the insecurity went away when I stopped dating him. Another chapter. Coucou, tu es né en France ou aux USA? Hi, are you born in France or in the USA? I was born and raised in France in the suburbs of Paris, and I moved to the United States in 2015 when I was 17 to attend college. What did you study at Berkeley? I did my undergrad at Berkeley and I majored in economics, but most of my classes were in business administration and entrepreneurship, especially towards the end. I really got into marketing and public relations and the operational side of a business because that's what I was most interested in. But my major was in econ, so lots of math and political science and all that stuff, which I kind of miss, to be honest. I feel like I was learning so much every single day and the conversations I was having were so interesting. I miss school. What's your plan for when social media dries up? I'm sure the intention isn't malicious, but the way this kind of question is posed always makes me feel like it's a little bit shady and like condescending in a way. I've been getting this question for the past 6-7 years. Not what's your plan if social media dries up, but when social media dries up, meaning that my career choice and plans are ephemeral. If that's your mindset, I encourage you to read up on the types of marketing that have existed throughout time, especially since the internet has been created. But to answer that question directly, I think I've developed skills that are transferable in any other industry than social media. Of course, I enjoy and love creating content, and I feel super lucky and grateful that I'm able to do that as a career. Thanks to it, I have launched my own business. I've gotten to work with other businesses and brands that I love. So hopefully, even if social media dries up, these won't necessarily go away, and I'll find something that I'm passionate about and that I can make a living doing. I don't think there's a specific 5-10 year set plan here, but I'm doing what makes me happy, and I think that's the luckiest position to be in. Do you have any book recommendations? I just got back into reading this year. Let me find my last favorite. This one is a really famous gay love story. It's called Aristotle and Dante. Am I pronouncing this right? Discover the Secrets of the Universe. Really good read, especially if you're looking for like a gay romance. Symptoms of Being Human is about a non-binary teen who's kind of exploring their identity and their coming out and what it implies for their family life and social life. And it's just really interesting, especially if you don't have a non-binary person in your life. I feel like it taught me a lot about the struggles that they go through and encouraged me to kind of check myself and learn more about what I can do to respect people's sexual identity better. And it was also super entertaining, so definitely recommend. And then the last one I just finished last week. It was a little bit more, let's say, odd, almost like classic fantasy. It's called Parentessy by Susanna Clarke, and it's the kind of book that you're reading and you don't understand what's happening until like the last 40 pages of the book. And then you have a bit of a realization, and it has a psychological kick to it. I honestly really loved it. How many relationships have you been in? It depends on how you define relationships. Since I've started being authentically who I am, I think I've been in like 3 main relationships, not all of which have been public, and then a couple situationships, or whatever you want to call them. What is your morning routine like? How do you set the proper vibes for your day? I used to be so obsessed with morning routines. If you followed me when I was in college, that was like my bread and butter. I was just filming a morning routine every 2 days. But I feel like I've gotten more comfortable with my morning routine, becoming more flexible. Becoming a small business owner has taught me that sometimes flexibility is necessary. But a typical morning routine for me would be waking up as early as possible. Some days it's gonna be 6 a.m., some days it's gonna be 8 a.m. I'm not too harsh on myself for that, but the earlier the better, because I always feel better when I wake up earlier, even though it's kind of hard. Then I roll out of bed, I make my bed immediately, clean up whatever's in the apartment that I left the night before, if it's dishes or dessert or clothes on the floor, like we'll do a little cleanup for like 40 seconds, take my prep and my fiber supplements, and then I quickly check my emails and my notifications to make sure that there's nothing that's super time sensitive. If there's something that I need to handle right now, I sit down at my desk, get it done. If not, I usually just change in my gym clothes, take my gym bag, and get out the door. I've noticed that the earlier I can get out the door, the more productive I'm gonna be that day. I usually work out for an hour and a half, so I'm usually back home by 10 a.m., make some breakfast. I've been making the same breakfast sandwiches for probably 8 months. You guys are probably sick of them. Maybe I should do a video making them on here. I love them so much. And then I usually start my day by packing orders for sunny days just so that I can get them out the door as soon as possible, and then start work on my laptop. So emails, filming collabs, or doing things at home. Yeah. Ever speak to Sal anymore? Short answer, yes. I do speak to Sal here and there. I know I posted a We Broke Up video when we broke up a couple years ago. I completely blacked out, I think, in that period of my life because I could not tell you a single word or topic that I addressed in that video. But we ended on really good terms. There was really no animosity when we broke up. We had been together for 4 years and just grew apart, and it was honestly the easiest breakup I've ever been through. So it's made it kind of easy to stay in contact. We also have a bunch of friends in common, so we've seen each other a few times. We've gone on vacation together since the breakup. I'll always be here for him, and I know that he's there for me, and I'm proud of him. He's been doing a lot of work on himself and like figuring out who he is and where he wants to go and what he wants to be, and taking the right steps in those directions. So yeah, really happy for him. How do you like living in LA versus in France? I don't know if I have the most educated answer for that because I only lived in France up to 17. So I feel like I've not experienced living in France as an adult. I haven't gotten paid in France. I haven't experienced social security in France. But I really love my life in the US. A lot of Americans especially always tell me like, why did you move from Europe to the US? But a few of the things that I love here and I've not found in France are how open the people are, especially with sexuality, sexual identity, and sexual expression. I feel like every time I've gone to France, I've encountered more homophobic interactions than I have in the US. I also have only lived in really liberal cities like San Francisco, New York, and LA, so I feel like I'm in a little bit of a bubble for that, but I'm grateful for it. The weather, I feel like Los Angeles just has the most perfect weather, and it's a little mix of everything because you have the beautiful weather and the beach and the mountains, but you also have like the city life and access to everything and all kinds of foods. I miss the prices and the quality of the food in France and my family and my friends, but I feel like I've built a life that I really love here. What do you look for in a potential boyfriend? I'm not looking for a man. I've never really shared about this on here, but I've always been in relationships. I started dating girls when I was in middle school, and then I realized that I was attracted to men and immediately started dating a boy who I stayed with for almost 3 years. That relationship ended and I started dating Sal, who I was with when I came out and started my entire adult life with. We graduated college together, got our first jobs, and moved to New York City and did all those things together. And then we split up in 2022, and I told myself, okay, I need to be single because I haven't never been single. I haven't been single since middle school, and I've never been single and gay, which I feel like there's a lot of experiences that you need to go through and lessons that you need to learn before you're ready for a relationship. That might be a hot take. That might be something we need to discuss in more depth. But I was gonna stay single, and that lasted 2.5 months. And then I met a boy and fell really, really, really hard and started dating him. And then we were together for pretty much a year and a half. And that ended, I want to say, last January. So since then, I had to do a lot of work to heal from that relationship because I think it was probably the most difficult breakup I've ever been through. After that transitional period happened, I had to do work to become more comfortable with being single. I was always super codependent. I feel like my history in relationships kind of shows that, and found a lot of my own value and identity in being someone else's partner. So I kind of had to unlearn that and find ways to define myself that only had to do with me. And I think that's always going to be a work in progress. So that's still happening, but I'm also really, really enjoying being single. I'm really prioritizing my friendships and platonic relationships, and these are the people that literally have saved my life over the years. Traveling a lot more and doing things for me, because even though I love being in love and relationships, I'll always be a lover boy. I don't think I'll ever get rid of that. I do know that it's all consuming, especially for me. When I love really hard and I give myself to that person, and that takes a lot of brain power and mind space, and I don't know if I want to focus all of that on that right now. I want to grow my business and take my career to the next level and focus on my family and build memories with my friends. Please don't quote me on that if I get in a relationship soon. No, I won't. And I'm honestly really happy that way, which is a really good feeling because I didn't think I was gonna ever be happy single. That's such an annoying answer. What do I look for in a potential boyfriend? Someone who's gentle and treats me Like they love me. Oh my god, the bare minimum. We're not there yet. We'll come back to it. This one made me giggle. What did you use for such strong chest hair growth? Testosterone cream? Tablets? Also, I haven't trimmed in a minute. I don't use anything. It's also so funny that I used to shave my entire body clean because I thought that man only liked smooth shaven boys. I love my body hair now and it makes me so proud, but I think it comes from my Algerian heritage. The Algerian side of my family is the hairy side. Do you plan to move from LA at some point? I have no plan. I really wanted to move to LA. That was always my dream. I loved LA ever since I was a kid. But Sal, my partner at the time, really wanted to move to New York. So we said, okay, we're gonna move to New York first. I also really wanted to move to New York. When I visited New York, I think in 2007, I was 9 years old. I fell in love with the city. My mom always talks to me about it and how much I was obsessed with it. So I was really happy to move to New York, but I always knew in the back of my head, I'm gonna move to LA at some point. And then the pandemic hit, my job moved to remote, Sal's job moved to remote, so we decided to make the jump and move to LA. And I really, really love it. So at this time, I don't know if I'm gonna move or when I'm gonna move, but I also don't see myself living in the same city for the rest of my life. So probably I kind of want to move back to New York because I feel like because we moved during the pandemic, my time there was kind of cut short. I feel like I still had more to discover and more to learn from New York City, and I still love it so much. So maybe I'll move back at some point. And then I really want to move to Hawaii, but I feel like it's not a very realistic thing because locals don't want people to move there. But I would like something more tropical. I also really love Cape Town. Australia. My mom would kill me if I moved to Australia. Literally the furthest point away from her that I could pick. I don't know. We'll see. How do you build courage or trust yourself enough to quit your corporate job given the fear of financial instability? For me, someone who is very data-driven and organized, not the most comfortable taking risks without having a plan in mind. The plan was what helped me feel comfortable and find that courage in myself. It took me months to go from knowing that I wanted to quit to actually pulling trigger and putting my 30-day notice. And during those months, I built a plan that had multiple milestones in between. I wanted to build my savings to a certain level so that I would have my expenses covered for at least a few months in case I was getting no work. I wanted to diversify my income, so making sure that my monthly income that was separate from my corporate job was getting to a certain amount or level every month. Just taking those steps that make you feel more prepared, and what worked for me is putting it in like a physical plan, like really seeing it every month or every week or 2 weeks and really keeping track of my progress is what got me to the point where I was like, I can do this. I think the tipping point was that I opened a separate checkings account and I would get my direct deposit from my corporate job in one account and then all my other income in the other account. And I would try to only use that other account for all my expenses and leave my corporate income aside. And when I felt confident that that was enough, I quit my job. That was a really lengthy answer. I know it's a really scary thing and you're never gonna avoid the discomfort that comes with it, but it's like taking any risk or making any big change in your life, and it is so rewarding. You got this. J'ai grandi à Saint-Cloud. Oui, je suis allée au lycée Alexandre Dumas et au collège Gounod. Si vous êtes de Gounod ou de Dumas, dites bonjour. What is your favorite cologne to wear? I'm in between a couple of fragrances right now. This one, so weird. It was my high school fragrance and I found it again and I got it again and I'm happy about it. It's from Zadig and Voltaire. It's called Tome 1 for him, La Pureté. Oh my god, it smells so good. It's very woodsy but a little bit sweet. Very unisex. Very delicious. Love her. My most recent one that I wear probably most is by Henry Rose. It's called Menace. It's a lot more fresh and summery, a little bit fuckboyish. Like I could see like a straight boy who likes to go out and make out with girls wear that. And then the third one I don't have because I ran out of the little tester and I haven't gotten to buying it yet, but it's Animalique by Redo. I just haven't pulled trigger yet because I think it's $400 and it's so silly to spend that much money on a perfume. I'm not a big shopper, by the way. I feel like people always assume that influencers or content creators love shopping. I mean, I like shopping, like I like new things, but I feel like ever since I started a business, I hate spending money, especially on things like travel and like experiences better, but things, no. What does someone do when they're gay and live with a family of Trump supporters? First of all, I'm really sorry. The only real tangible advice I can give you is please try not to let these people or any other people's opinions of you or your community or your sexual identity define who you are. It's so easy to internalize things and we're all guilty of it. I don't like the word guilty because you shouldn't feel guilty about it. It's a very natural process to hear the same thing over and over again and kind of make it yours. Please Don't do that. Please rely on your community outside of your family, whether you have access to that in your city, in your school, at your job, I don't know how old you are, or on the internet. I feel like that was my biggest escape and my favorite thing, finding people online. That sounds dangerous. You know what I mean. And I think my third piece of advice would be don't exhaust yourself trying to fight other people's views or change them. In recent years, I think my biggest lesson has been to accept people for who they are. Of course, sharing information, resources, and education is a positive thing to do, but if it's taking a toll on your mental health and on what you want your life to look like, it's not worth it. Don't hurt yourself over it. I love you. Je suis sûre que les cheveux longs t'iraient trop bien. T'as déjà pensé à les laisser pousser? I'm sure long hair would suit you really well. Have you thought of letting them grow? I used to have really long hair when I was a kid. I loved it at the time. I hate it now. I also hated that I was getting misgendered so much as a kid. Like, I would go get bread at the bakery and they would always call me a little girl. As a closeted little queer boy, that is not a nice thing to hear. How many tattoos do you have, and are you planning more? They're so cute. Thank you. I have some that are ephemeral and some that are permanent. My first tattoo was in my mouth. It says honey. I got that when I was 19. And that was the only tattoo I had for a really long time. And then I started getting ephemeral tattoos. So they're real tattoos, but the ink is meant to dissolve by itself in your system over the course of 2 to 3 years. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, but they're almost all gone. And then I recently started getting permanent tattoos. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. 5 if you count the mouth one. Am I planning more? I think I'm gonna get more. Mom, I'm sorry. Grandma, I'm sorry. But I don't really know what yet, and I'm not in a rush because permanent. Okay, I think that's enough. I've been talking for a really long time, and if you're still here, thank you so much for hanging. I hope you enjoyed this video. If I didn't get to your question, please feel free to ask in the comment section down below, or if you want me to film another Q&A, I'd be happy to do that. If you also have video requests or things you want me to talk about in more depth, please feel free to let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys very soon for a new video. That was a quick wrap up. Bye.